Hi Roswitha, hi Karoly. Thanks to accepting my invitation. I'm very happy to see you here again. We met a couple of months ago, and I'm just really wondering, and as all of our audience, that how did you progress in the last few months? As I heard that you made a really nice achievement,
Yes,
and I just would like to hear about it, and just asking where you are now with
of
the uni.
course. First of all, thank you so much for inviting us, Peter. It's lovely to be here again, and we're super excited to share all the amazing things that we've done with YONE and how much we accelerated. So I think since you invested in us in August, of course, we had a roadmap for this year and also next year, and I'm happy to share that we actually already achieved the majority of the roadmap of next year.
Oh.
So that's actually done in 6 months. Currently, we are already in phase 1 of tier of 4, so that means that we did 2 and 3 already successfully. On top of that, we also did a second publication that is soon going to be live with the team. So a lot of amazing things. The IP roadmap is also accelerating moving forward. So a lot of things simultaneously at the same time. And I'm really proud to have such a amazing global team that can help us with this amazing milestones.
Yeah, it's a nice music for investors, so you achieve something much earlier
Yes.
than expected, because usually the opposite is the most common case that we do not achieve on time.
Yeah. No, I make sure that we have a strong communication and all eyes are on the same roads and making sure that we can mitigate risk on time. And I prefer that our deadlines are being met before the deadline. So when something is happening, we still have time to solve issues that arise. But so far, nothing happened and we were able to really accelerate strong and fast.
Yeah, and if we would like to give something as a lesson learned for other startup funders, what do you learn just in the last few months during this very intense period?
Yeah.
What you can share with other funders?
I think it's interesting to sometimes understand the communication internally from other companies or vendors that you're working with. So I think it's important to have certain benchmarks and requirements discussed internally, what you would like to have. So if you do, let's say, certain important laboratory testing, of course, those reports and results are really critical for you as a company. Now, it does not always mean that the company that conduct these tests are taking it as serious or taking it as strong regarding communication. So it's important to set benchmark. For example, we noticed some friction in communication and we included certain rules in the contract for the next phase, that we need to have response in 24 hours, that we have one designated person as a project manager, that we have weekly calls to always mitigate those risks and answer questions fast. Because the last thing we want to do is, of course, figure out a solution or a problem, and then you need 2 to 3 weeks to solve that. So I think this is important to discuss internally to figure out and analyze what requirements you would like communication-wise, and then make sure that the company or vendor that you're working with is also comfortable with that.
Okay. So you mentioned many times that you have a very good team and good communications. How you can get this professional team, especially that you have a really global team?
Yes, I think because of my background, I used to work a lot in the US and overseas, and basically I'm used on working on different time zones. Communication is really important, so I like to work with individuals who can voice their opinion, are not afraid to ask critical questions during meetings, and not afraid to actually go for meeting our goals. And I think that's one of the most important things, and that of course comes with experience. Now, not only experience is most important, I think also personality is important. So from the start, I try to, and I implement a strong company culture that we also included in policies, and that is shared with everyone that's going to be onboarded. And of course, we also implement 3 months training. So if we see that's not working from either end, we can always either separate path or figure out another opportunity to align in vision. And I think that's really important. So for me, it's company culture and also alignment with vision, because experience, I think a lot of people can have, but it needs to fit in the team as well. And we make sure to also build a personal relationship. So if we have a team in person, to also get to know each other better, we have weekly calls with the team, and also just every individual from divisions. We have separate legal calls, finance calls, medical calls, etc. And then, of course, we have our external calls. So I think it's really important to have that relationship, especially when you work remote.
Yeah, it's very nice. And I'm just wondering that you mentioned previously in our previous discussion that you also measure and you have really strong track
Yes.
of the people and the people performance, which is very important. On the other hand, it's a bit tricky or difficult to manage sometimes. And how you can come over or this hurdle that how you can discuss, which is a sometimes uncomfortable discussion
Yes.
with the people, especially who are not performing or underperforming.
Yes.
Can you manage it? Because it's very, very difficult and challenging HR.
It is difficult,
leadership.
but then I'm just thinking back on how much I would like to make this company successful. And I also know how hard it was to find the right investor. And I know how much hard work I put into this. So of course, when you then have the opportunity to become really big and successful, I need the team to understand that. So on one hand, I try to make the team, every individual, understand that they're part of something bigger and what we're doing is really important for women's health, so that they have the understanding that this is important, they understand the vision. And on the other hand, just separate emotions in those conversations, because in that moment, it's just really business. And when there are certain benchmarks and certain KPIs that are not being met a couple of times, and I automatically have a strict conversation, and that's with the advisors, that's with the operation team, even with the junior team. I think that's even with the social media team if it's needed. And that's just important because in the end, it's our message going out. We have a big responsibility, and I want to make sure that the team also understands that and really feels that as well when they wake up every day to start working with YONE. But it's not easy, of course, to have this conversation, especially when the individuals have much more years of experience, but that does not always mean that it's the same alignment with the direction of YONE. And that's, of course, where communication comes in play. Now I make sure to, when I start this conversation, to make sure I have the right facts as well, and that it's never based on assumptions, because I think that can cause a lot of friction in conversation. So I make sure that I have the right facts, the data, and the stats to actually go into this conversation. And I make sure that they understand it. It's a calm conversation. And of course, I try to make sure that in the end of the conversation, we're both on the same page again, and we have the right direction to go with.
Yeah, so there's very hard work and time and energy you spent makes you strong to make these conversations. And of course, the numbers. Helps. Obviously, I like Meritocracy because it's numbers, they never lie.
Yeah.
It's very easy. But on the other hand, the people and the personalities, they are different. So it's a big challenge.
Yes. And I think what I really like already is that we, besides the policies that we implemented, we already started conducting trainings for the team, how to represent themselves and how to speak better during conversation, and how to actually find their voice, especially with the junior people in our team, because of course certain managers and research managers sometimes need to manage these conversations, and that even goes regarding communication by email or by phone. I want to make sure that everyone who reaches out to a team member of YONE experience that level of professionalism, and I think that's important too, especially in the beginning during the training, to monetize that and train where needed.
Yeah. So you reached already that your team is almost perfect? or
I wouldn't. I don't think. I mean, perfect is, but yes, really, really strong. And especially what I like to hear is when companies who are already existing for multiple decades work with us, and they tell me that our team is so professional. That we respond fast. We always super hands on. We're really professional, really secure with the materials and documents and deliverables. And I noticed that with companies that are indeed much more mature and seasoned, that's often not the case. So I'm proud that we already have that for a young startup.
Yeah, I think it was very important because many companies, even bigger companies, they don't take so much attention for this PDP, the personal development plans and all trainings and all this communication. And most probably you have also good personalities, so you can find each other very well.
Yes.
I remember how you find your team members in the past, and it was, first of all, I think you are a bit lucky because you find very good people. On the other hand, it's the selection process, and you resonate very well together with your key team members. I think it's very important.
And even because we will onboard in January our chair of advisory, and even that process, I made sure to include the board as well, to give them the opportunity to have separate conversation, because I want to make sure that the board is aligned and they feel the same vision, and not randomly onboard someone, because that alone causes already multiple friction. But back to what you're mentioning, I think I'm also quite lucky with my team. I know it's not easy because many times we're on different time zones, but I think we're really handling it so strong because it never affected us in any way that we're all remote.
Yeah. So I think you can make the tick box that you reached everything you planned, even more.
Yes, even more indeed.
Yeah. What is the next step, and what is the biggest challenges of the next coming months?
Can I ask a question before we move to the future? I'm just curious to hear how you as a leader and as a person have developed in these busy and challenging and under pressure times in the last half a year? That must have been quite a journey for you as a person.
Yes. I think what really changed is to separate more my emotions where needed, especially now when there is a lot of money on the line, especially when you step into new partnerships. And I know maybe in the beginning I could overthink certain conversations too much, and now it's like, no, I know what I want, I know the direction. I want to be lean with the investments, and I don't want to say. I want to make sure that we don't not say yes to anything that's not feasible for us. And I think that's one thing that I've grown a lot in, and that's also seeing with internal conversations, because it's hard sometimes to have hard conversation, especially as a woman, because it's mainly men when I have these hard conversations with, and it's not easy because I'm also a bit younger. So then I used to overthink that. I could think about it for maybe a week even on how to address that and how to make sure that it's not the case, or with external partners. And now that's totally gone. I'm just like, no, it's business. I need to make sure that we're all on the same page. So that's something that I'm happy that's definitely I grew there. And that
So, and just turning back to the topic of the next challenges and the next milestones. So, what is your next steps in the next coming few months?
Yes. So the next steps is finishing TRL 4. We're currently in phase 1. For that, we do need to focus on co-investments. So we're currently raising additional 600,000 for the co-investments. And the plan is to do in summer next year to actually close seed rounds. Because if the funding is there, we can accelerate that strong that we can start clinical trials actually next year to prepare for that. So that is, I think, quite exciting, because if you think about August, we started with it, and that shows how strong we are as a team. Besides that, of course, continue with the IP protection, publishing more publications, and of course focusing on the biocompatible testing, what we're going to do next year, in our sensor technology development. And the first milestone will be developing our prototype, what we're currently working hard on. And like I said, closing investment is one of our biggest priorities right now, and then continuing with the roadmap, the regulatory roadmap.
So until March is the 600,000, and in summer is the seed round.
Yes. So until March, indeed, we need to close the 600,000, because that can continue with our manufacturing and development partner for the sensor technology. That is also included with our sensor partner, and that basically then can finalize our prototype, and then we can get ready for the first phase of clinical trials. Now we will have multiple phases, of course, in the clinical trials, but that's where the seed round comes in play.
So it's very difficult. I don't know how you can manage to get everything on time, because you manage your team very quickly and you achieve your milestones much earlier.
Yeah.
Because of your extraordinary work, you are not working just 8 hours a day, but much more.
Always.
And it's very difficult to handle that. It is out of your control, which is mainly the investment part. So it's very difficult how you can manage that to get the funding on time, and to avoid that you have to make a short break, especially that's after this very hard and high level and impressive achievements.
Yes. I think also because it's so hard for women founders to raise investment, I'm going to show the whole world why it's good to invest in women, because it's almost a situation like I will prove everyone why it's a strong decision, why we as women give a higher return of investment. And on top of that, regarding investment, we of course work with Uniprisma, let's say, that can help us regarding investment outreach, because I understand that it's a lot for a founder, and I want to make sure that the investment that we did receive is managed well. That is, of course, the number one priority, and then simultaneously to, of course, close other investment. But that's where our achievement comes in play, because then the conversations, I suppose, will be a bit easier when we achieved our great milestones.
Yeah. And do you have any support? You mentioned that Uniprisma is helping for you, because you have to focus on the human part, the managing the team and managing the project. Do you have any support within your team, or you are working with Uniprisma? They are helping you for?
No, I have a really strong executive team. So legal, finance, and regulatory are amazing. The chief clinical officer, Dr. Muskan Bond, she's truly amazing. I'm really lucky to find her. And same with David Don and Matthias Toy. So we have weekly executive team meetings to make sure all the divisions are on the same page. This is simultaneously with the every quarter and also end of the year and starting the year. So with their help, I'm of course able to run all divisions with the same direction, and that gives me a bit more time to focus on investment readiness, preparing the packages, and making sure that that runway is also aligned. So it doesn't matter when I get the call to go on investment conversations, we are ready.
Okay, that's fine. And Karoly, how do you think how easy is nowadays to get funding in the early stage femtech companies?
Difficult, definitely. And because I've been involved in so many fundraisings, I have a comparison, and unfortunately, I can confirm that it's a lot more difficult to raise as a female funder. And what I also discovered that once Roswitha can get an investor meeting, she can turn it around. So I think it's clearly a prejudice. They see that it's a female-led startup, especially on a FemTech sector, then it's more difficult. And the other difficulty is that most of the investors that are active in medtech, they are either very early stage or they want to join after or during the clinical. And we are in between.
Yes.
And so the good part is that we have already identified investors that are excited to join later, but we need them now.
Yes.
So, and I think history over and over proves that the brave ones will actually harvest. So the brave ones who can actually make a bet early on, they will win big. But later, YONE and Roswitha and the whole team, and now with you, Peter, as an investor, we will be in a much more stronger negotiation position. So it will change. The power will shift. And I think even like with this progress, within half a year, it will be a totally different discussion. So now it's like it's hard work, a lot of canceled meetings, a lot of unanswered emails, a lot of delays, a lot of funny excuses. A lot of opportunistic agents appearing to be investors, turning out to be offering paid services.
Yes.
A lot of funny and strange experience, but the point is traction will actually convert. It always does.
Yeah.
Is it hard? Yes, it's very hard, but consistent work of Roswitha and the team, I think it becomes measurable. So as you progress, the chances are better. So all in all, I think it's difficult to find investors who are willing to take the time to actually understand what's happening. And also, in my opinion, it's a bit difficult to believe the speed and efficiency you guys are working at, because it's not common.
Yes.
It's not common, and it takes a little bit of effort to dig deep, like, is this really happening? And once an investor is ready to engage on that level, I think then that investor could be convinced. And I think one strong card we haven't played in this whole fundraising is actually having you on board, Peter, because you are not a financial investor in the first place. You are a researcher, you are a scientist, you are a clinical expert, and your belief and your bet is a validation, but you are also an investor, so you have skin in the game. And I think having you is a very strong validation, and that also defines what kind of potential investors we need. We need investors who see the value in an amazing team, with an amazing investor and partner, expert partner, together with a venture studio. I think this is like the best de-risked model of actually building a startup.
Just in a broader question, why is it so difficult for female leaders and femtech companies to raise money?
Good question. I think it's just based on history as well. I mean, if you think about the work environment and all the issues that women face regarding gender inequality. So I think it just stems back to that. And I think many times it's also a little bit ego that comes in place, because men, of course, not all men, but they often feel superior. And I think it's also men with each other. And then they just cannot believe that women can do this. But it's proven that women give double the return of investment. But I also think because we need to work double, we really want to prove that we got this. But I think it just stems back really from historical situations. And it's really unfortunate. And what I noticed in the beginning as well is when we didn't met yet, and I was working, let's say, with David, he was one of the only males on our team, I automatically included him in meetings, because I noticed that they take me much more serious, even though I shared the exact same information. Yes. It was the exact same pitch, but just because David was in there, it changed the whole dynamics. And then I realized, I'm going to find a really strong advisory board, mainly men, because they can back me up, of course, in the right fields that they are operating in. And it's just sad to see, but if you understand that, you can also make it work for you, because I thought I can fight against it and I can only have women on the team, what certain companies are doing, but I rather hire on skills, of course, first, than personality. And it's just a bit sad to notice that it's really just like that. The second David came on, they immediately also were sitting different. Yeah. And it was just like interesting to witness that. Yeah. So to be honest, I don't understand the answer, because I hope at one point we can find the answer, people can change it, because even though people are like, we need to invest in female companies, we need to invest in FemTech, it's different in saying it than actually doing it. And I think it's time to just start doing it. So I hope it will change. What is interesting to see, when I started with YONE in the Netherlands, they didn't even know what FemTech was. They consistently confused me with FinTech. And now it's a big change going on. So our press and comms manager is also putting us with events and the right connection there, because finally, after 3.5 years, they understand what it is and they would like to invest more in the innovational aspect of it. So that means that when I first started, FemTech was fully new. And then I'm a female founder talking about vaginal health. That alone already starts my conversation quite uncomfortably. But here we are, and I'm really happy to see that, because we are so consistently in pushing the message and also making sure that we are being heard, that there's slowly a change going on everywhere. But I just hope the change will go a little bit faster for all female founders.
That's interesting, and especially that you are providing really this really high value and impact. I think it should be identified, but many investors, not with the dumb money, but the professional and high value investors, they should recognize it.
I think also what I've experienced a lot is because the vision is exactly the same as when I started. It's the same direction. It was the same go-to-market strategy. But in the beginning, people just thought I was crazy. They literally said they couldn't comprehend the vision, because it was also so new. And then because you're a woman, you often are seen as emotional, where that was sometimes also mentioned in the conversation. And they just literally told me, like, this is not going to work. You're crazy. This will never happen. It's too new. It's too risky.
Only positives.
So that was interesting to notice that. But right now, of course, what you also mentioned, we brought a lot of value into the company, and that really changed. Yeah. So the conversations right now are much different than when we first started. And I feel like that's the same for all female founders within FemTech. So I hope that they also experience the positive shift that is currently happening.
I think I've experienced I've witnessed a lot of insecurities of men during the discussions and your pitch. So the first time we met, I was actually in a room full of an investor team. I remember you pitching them, and because I knew those people, I could feel they are insecure. Yeah. And it's part of you coming on with your confidence, but also your vulnerability, like sharing your story. And this combination, like confidence and being vulnerable, is like either or, choose your game, but it's difficult to handle for men, I think. Plus, on top of that, you have a very sensitive topic,
Yes.
which is for men, I think most men would either react to it. It might be an important topic, but it's not for me. Like, but
Even the wording, they make it difficult just to use the wording. So.
Yes.
yeah, so I think it's very much it's a cultural thing, and again, bravery. And a lot of investors say they invest in FemTech or they support female funders, but honestly, it's more smokes. I think
Yes.
there's a lot of talk about that, but
Same with
just show me the action.
Yes.
Like yeah,
it's the same with a lot of acceleration programs
it's
because
marketing.
YONE was part of also we won a spot in the US and we were really critical regarding funding. It's like, no, I ask up front, like, let's sign it on paper. There are investors and it's going to be amazing. But we were their first European startup. So we felt like they just utilized us for marketing and branding to say that we're a global accelerating program. And then you spent a lot of investment as a startup with traveling there and going there and accommodation, etc. And then you realize of the day of pitching to supposedly 100 investors, there were like 9 people, and 2 of them were selling their insurance, life insurance. And it's just interesting to see that many accelerating programs do that. And at a certain point, I felt so comfortable to also, when we secured a spot, to just say no. And the last time I also, of course, discussed with the board and Uniprisma, because I said I'd rather focusing on accelerating operations than going there, not getting any, because to be honest, I don't know any startup who got investment through an accelerating program. And I many times feel like startups think that you have to go this route and it's an amazing opportunity. And of course, in the beginning it is. Definitely you should go in certain opportunities. But the majority of the time, it just feels like taking advantage of the startups for their own benefits. And that's just sad and disappointed for me to hear or see.
Yeah, it's a very hard work. I hope that Karoly and Uniprisma can help you.
It's like a maze almost where you need to go through. And that's where, of course, really strong advisors are a must. You really need to have a strong advisory team.
But just yesterday we had a discussion about what would be the ideal co-investor partner, and of course there could be many different types. But one of the highlights, I think, was what we all agreed is that we are all value driven. And that is the core.
Yes.
So this is the core, the foundation. Like, then we need to...
There's a minimum requirements for
exactly. So
for all the partners.
If we are such, then we need to find partners who are also value driven. And most of these partners could be either high net worth individuals who are angel investing because they believe in a cause. It's not a financial activity, but it's supporting a cause.
Not the ROI is the most important.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's one. The second is family offices, but only the ones that actually follow a cause. Because as we discussed, most family offices are totally different than VCs. They are patient with the capital, but they want to make an impact. They want to build a legacy. Yeah. So we agreed that we'll also scout more and build relationships more towards family offices, because they could be also a long-term partner. So it's not so much transactional, but it's more like building a relationship, a meaningful partnership.
Yeah, it's very important to find the proper partner. And I see that turning back to this FemTech arena, I see that more and more FemTech companies they are following you, and I think it's very important that you have this pioneer role that you show, and it's make it a bit more affordable in the next coming startup companies. And I know that you take also special attention. You give your lesson learned and your personal learning curve show to other companies and startup funders. And I really like your attitude, because you are over busy, but you still take the time to help them. And I think it is the real accelerator. So they are really, as you mentioned, they are a lot of accelerator. They are doing nothing. They're organizing meetings, but no impact at all. But still, based on your busy schedule, based on your very high intense activity, you make a more accelerator activities in parallel. I think it's very nice, and I think it should be also visible by other investors. They works and they're focusing on values, that you are not just investing YONE, but they are investing in Roswitha, and all this mindset they are providing. And for me, it was also very important, and it's a very easy decision for me, and it was a very quick decision. I don't remember how many days or weeks, but it was quite fast.
It was fast.
Because I saw this, and I think it's so unique. And of course, ROI is important, because all of us, we are living from money, but it's not the number one. So the first one, the team, and it's very important that you have, and especially that you have this very special attention. And I'm just more and more happy that talking with you, that how your team is evolving. And because if you have this very strong basis, and I see that most of the companies, they don't have it, and it's one of the key reasons of failures, that they don't have this very strong team. And with this strong team, you can achieve much more than anybody else. And this one is also a risk mitigation. And many investors, they also don't realize this, because they are not taking the time, the energy, the effort to understand. And I'm just very happy to work with you,
Thank
guys.
You so
and I hope you can close this fundraising in March, and the next one in summer. I will be here, so I will support that as well.
Thank you.
And I hope that we can go forward at the same speed.
Yes.
And it could be a very nice and case study to show to the public that with the proper partnering with the professional investor partners, you can achieve much more than in the current original and conservative investment model, which is, I think, should be replaced very soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Peter, for your amazing kind words. And I think, because when you mentioned that, when we first met, and the alignment, how quick your decision was, I think one of the difference is the alignment part, right? Because the pitch is the same. You've seen me pitching as well. It's the exact same pitch. But if people are not taking the time to actually indeed listen or understand the vision or have the right experience and background to do so, then the alignment is not there. And then it doesn't matter how good I pitch, they just don't see it. So thank you for really taking the time to also listen and do your background, and also understand the strength of our branding online and how important that is, because everything what we're doing is also already thinking about our customer, our audience, and our community. So we understand the responsibility of that. And that's why I'm making sure that whatever we do is in alignment with being professional and understanding and build that relationship. So I'm really happy that we have this alignment between each and every one of our teams. So, and thank you again for supporting us as a FemTech company and a female founder. And I hope that you can lead the example as well for future investors.
Thank you so much.